You want to have one copy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. Happy to see you guys. If at any point you guys can't hear us or anything like that, just send a message in the chat. So I'm Sasha, and I'm the current BCS tutor. And I'm just entering my final stretch of the program this fall. Only got 5 more courses to go. And this is Ling, and he was he had this job last summer. He was the BCS tutor, and he's just pretty much just about to be done with the program.
Actually, already done.
Wow. So my first degree was in chemical engineering with a mathematics minor from University of Waterloo. And then I graduated in 2011, and Ling can say a few things about himself, perhaps.
Yeah. Hello. We want to look into the camera. Hi. This is Ling. So probably you have seen me in some previous videos from last year. So I started the program actually in January of 2017 as an unclassified student who can take the credits, which can be transferred later into the program. So I finished my last course in the first term of this summer and applied for graduation afterwards. So right now I'm doing internship in Amazon at Vancouver, and hopefully we'll start full-time in September.
So I think we'll start off with working through the questions we got on the Google Doc. And then if there's any more questions, we'll get to them, but we'll work through those ones first. Okay, so housing. I live off campus, but did not find a place yet. Someone recommended looking for a place once I'm in Vancouver, but it seems risky. Do you have any opinion on that? I personally don't really know much about housing at all, so I'll pass this one off to Ling.
Do you want to see the live channel?
Yeah.
Live chat channel? Anyone?
No.
Okay. Yeah, so finding housing in Vancouver is a little bit tricky because the market is really hot. Many students, domestic international students, are coming for Vancouver. So yeah, it's better to be here to find a house because many renting units, you need to be there to talk to the landlord and like go through the paperwork and get some credit check if they required. So all of those, probably the landlord wants to meet in person first, then go through the process. And when you are not there, when you're not here, for example, it may be a little bit risky actually if the landlord requires you to pay some deposit in the first place, and you don't know whether that's legitimate or not. So yeah, I would recommend if you come here at least several days before, and at the same time monitor the several websites like Craigslist, or I use Craigslist a lot. I put a search alert on that website. Actually, I'm also looking for housing right now, and then I can receive the new listing at first time when they came, and yeah, so then I can contact the landlord and we can go really fast. So probably the only place or only safe place that you don't need to be here to find is housing on campus. But yes, since you want to live off campus, it's better to be here, or at least find someone you can trust to meet the landlord in person. So yeah, there'll be a lot of experiences and articles you'll find online.
Academic year. Will there be a midterm break during term 1 of the winter session? The short answer is no, not this year. There are here at UBC as of now only midterm break in February in the second term. I know that there was some talk about introducing one in the fall as well. They were actually hoping to get that done for this year. It hasn't happened, but maybe it will happen in the time that you guys are here in the program. So maybe something to look forward to. This summer there is actually a midterm break, but that's an exception. It's just this summer because there was a big conference taking place here in Vancouver. How strict is attendance? For example, if you want to travel home during the term, I would say that it depends really on the course. For sure, you would want to be here for all the midterm exams or any exams of any kind, final exams. And then if there are any big deliverables, like if there is a project that's worth like most of your grade, then you need to pass the course and there's some presentation. You really want to be here for that. As far as the rest of the attendance is concerned, at least with CS courses, you would most likely be able to find some time when you can miss a bit of school. You might miss a little bit of grades because of that. Like there are labs every week, and if you miss more than one, you will probably miss like 1% of your grade or something. But as long as you're here for most of the term, with respect to those labs, you should be okay. Courses outside of CS, I would really make sure you talk to the profs there. Some of them you'll probably once again find missing a week or so at an expense of a few grade points. But there are certain courses like in English or communication where you do have to be there for most of the term, even in class and lecture. Once again, you can probably miss a bit, but I would check with the profs and who are offering those courses just to double check. Anything to add on that?
So before answering the question, would you mind just maybe sit a bit in the back, to the back?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so the camera can cover you all. And hi, you students. If you can actually hear us clearly or feel the live effect is okay, can you just type something in the chat channel so we can actually see you? Yeah. Or if you have any difficulty to see us or hear us, yeah, just checking. So we should see something here.
Yeah, but
maybe you want to type something.
Oh, we already typed something.
Anyone is typing?
This is also a bit of a delay here, so.
I mean, you can type something. Anyone? Hello. Okay. Yeah. Good. Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, let's.
So a little bit addition for that. Actually, I think that the first question also. Yeah, these two questions are about if you want to do something else during the term. Is that possible? The answer in most of the time is yes, it's possible. That like if the course has some labs, sometimes you can actually get away with the labs with the help with your partners. So labs usually is done in a team. So you usually go to the lab usually with a partner or several partners. So that depends. So if the lab is individual only, then probably you want to be there. Don't miss the labs. And if you miss, you'll lose some points. But if it's in your group, usually you can get help with from your teammates, and they can help you to cover the points. Then the attendance issue. So computer science courses don't have a strict attendance requirement. You may have some courses that require eye clicker, which is something that should let you answer questions, identify as yourself. But those eye clicker portion in the final grade is usually very trivial, like 2%, at most 5%. So really doesn't matter. But some courses like English courses, the attendance is required, and it's better you inform the teacher before you want to take some courses off. But if you want to travel home during the term, I think as long as you do the homework, I review the course materials, 2 weeks should be okay.
I think as long as you plan it ahead and figure things out. Like I know there are some people in the upcoming term that are going to be traveling to conferences as well. So if you do your planning, it should be good. Yeah. So we have some questions on the challenge exam. So I checked in. I personally didn't do the challenge exam, and Ling was just telling me before we started that he didn't do it either. But I checked with some students that did do the challenge exam, and essentially any tips or strategies for writing the challenge exam, I think that there aren't really any beyond practicing a lot and practicing writing them in pencil as you would on the exam, because there is a bit of a different mindset when you're writing something, when you're practicing something on the computer versus when you actually have to write the code in pencil. So this goes also to all the students that will be taking CS classes throughout the program. If there are classes where you actually have to write code on the exam, make sure you do practice writing them in pencil. 110 is really a course where it is sort of the more you do the practice exams, the more you practice, the better you are going to be at writing the actual exam. I also asked the students that took it, will it be different from a regular 110 final? And from what I heard, it shouldn't be really too different. They said that you shouldn't really be too worried about that when you're studying for the exam.
So actually, it's easier.
That could be.
Yeah, that's information. I think it's from TAs. I read some. So when I studied 110, I read that somewhere from one of the TA. So yeah. So the challenge exam actually is easier than the actual final. And as long as we go through the online materials, which is a lot, and finish all the assignments and practice on several sample or the past exam papers, you'll be fine. The 110 is really probably the easiest course comparing.
Well, I wouldn't go as far as making that distinction. I personally say, from my experience, I think it was on par with some of the other courses around here. I personally found actually 210 a bit easier than 110, but I think so the only really suggestion for the challenge exam: study hard, do the practice exam, write things in pencil like you would on the actual exam. Are there a lot of students who take the challenge exam? From what I can see, not really. Maybe only a few, because there are going to be some students. Well, not even too many students in the program who would have had credit for 110. Like there are some who completed a course that's equivalent to 110 from their previous degree, or they completed 110 here at UBC in their first degree. Or there are students like Ling who did some a term or two as a classified student before coming to the program, and they have credit for 110. And then there are a few that challenge 110, but even if you put the groups of all those students together, there are still quite a few people that have credit for 110 coming to the program from what I can see. The vast majority of people will be in 110 in the fall term. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. So it's not easy to take 110 challenge exam because you have to spend a lot of time in the summer, actually go through all the materials, and you will find out that it's really a lot. So even for the students who take the 110 in the fall term or the winter session, it still feels a lot of work. It is not difficult, it's just a lot of work. So if you can spare some time in the summer to actually finish all the materials, then you can challenge the exam. But actually, a lot of students just cannot spare that much time.
Well, there's also a lot of things like with people moving and trying to finish whatever else they were doing before the program. So I found a lot of people that even did the challenge exam, they found it to be a bit overwhelming to kind of try to fit everything in right before September. If you are going to be doing the challenge exam, your studying should have been already well underway by this point in time.
Let's continue.
Do we need to attend, if you're challenging exam, do we need to attend 210 labs in the first 2 weeks of classes? I say that it's probably best to check this with the people that are running 210. You should probably just follow the policy as if you were on the wait list for 210. Like you should try to enroll yourself in the edX Edge course for 210. There's one just like the one for 110. And then perhaps you can see if there's some messages of what to do if you're planning to take the course, but you're not actually in the course, as if you were on the wait list. And perhaps just follow those instructions that are there and check with the 210 administration team. Last question, just quickly on the challenge exam. Is the challenge exam scaled? I would say probably not, especially since Ling was just saying that it's probably easier than the ones in regular term. That's probably where your scaling is coming from. With respect to that, just as an aside, the typical policy in computer science courses is that they are scaled, if anything, to historical averages. So if there was some course where the final exam was too difficult or the term grades were coming out to be too low, at the end of the course, the instructors would usually look at scaling those grades to historical averages, essentially.
Yeah, okay. So let's continue for the summer term questions.
Yeah. What courses do students typically take during the summer term after the first year? So I'm assuming that this is the first summer of the program. If I am incorrect in that assumption, please message us. But in the first summer after the first year, the department most definitely, if not 100% sure, is going to offer 221 and 213, which is the first algorithms course and the first computer systems hardware course, so to say. Kind of the low-level programming course, 213. And those courses work really well if you just have taken 110 in the fall and then 210 in the winter. Then you can take 221 and 213 in the summer. Beyond that, the offerings of courses are sort of depend on the year, depending on what instructors the department can find. Quite often, 304, which is the first database course, and 322, which is the first Introduction to Artificial Intelligence course. Those ones are usually offered in the summer as well. So those are aimed at students who have taken 221 already in the winter. So someone who would have taken 210 in the fall and then 221 in the winter, then they can take 304, 322 in the summer. Or those courses could also be taken by some senior students if they are already in the second summer of the program. 320 is another course that's typically offered in the summer, which is the second algorithms course. And what usually happens is that 221 is offered in the first part of the summer, because there are two summer terms. There is the May and June, which is the first part of the summer. And then there's July and August, which is the second part of the summer. So in the first part of the summer, 221 would be offered. And then usually in the second part of the summer, 320, the second algorithms course would have been offered. So you would have met the prerequisite for that course by that point in time. And 320 is also something that if someone even did 221 in the winter term, then they can take 320 in the summer term. More rarely, 313, which is the second operating systems computer hardware course, the follow-up to 213, is also offered in the summer. That wasn't the case this summer. There wasn't an instructor for that. But if it is offered, in some cases people can take 213 in the first term of the summer, and then 313 in the second term of the summer. But it sort of depends, once again, on the particular year. Definitely 221 and 213. Anything to...
so actually, I feel it's too early to consider this question. Yeah, because the summer registration will start in next March or April, which it's better to get some feeling in the winter session to see how you are doing there. Then you can decide like what course you want to take, because some students just don't take courses. They have other arrangements, and some students want to have more time for the job hunting, for the co-op session in the September, and some students they're so hardworking. They are very good at time planning, so they have four courses in the whole summer and still get a good job hunting results. So yeah, I think that actually that question is linked to the second question, which is how difficult is the summer before the co-op term? I heard it's stressful due to the course load, lead code, and applications. And tips? So actually, I have these experiences, and also I just had lunch with several other students in the same institute last month, and they all got jobs later. So one of the strategy many students took is that in summer there are two terms. So in first term, you only register for one course or two easy courses, and in the second term, you can do whatever you want. Because most of the job hunting, if you want to do co-op in the September, the job hunting will happen in the first term, which will require a lot of efforts to prepare, especially going through maybe 10, 20, even 30 interviews. That's a lot of work. But if you are actually aiming for the co-op term in September, then probably you should start actually now. So the lead code is ongoing. The cracking coding interview, that book is really good. It's not just about coding interview, actually. It's about the whole career planning for the computer science majors, starting from day one. That when you decide you want to do computer science, you want to find a job later, and just look into that book. The first chapter actually give you a very good starting point where to find the resources you want, what to do to prepare for job hunting. I think, and because now it's still very early in the whole process, that you haven't entered the program yet. So, I think you can actually start from that book, and it will give you a lot of insights about job, course, and actually something about the industry per se.
Yeah, I think this, once again, the lots of questions are interconnected, sort of leads into some other questions, is that to be successful in this program, in my opinion, it's really good just to be very open-minded to learning and try to be learning different things all the time. So if you have a bit of spare time, you could always start looking at the Cracking the Coding interview book, as Ling was saying. Even if there are certain things that you're not that are not making sense there right away, don't worry. Just try to absorb some information. Or even I just posted post on Piazza this week about how to get started with learning things. I posted a bunch of resources that you can use. Even just taking a look at those resources is also good, like if you have a bit of spare time. I think just definitely focus on your coursework first in terms of making sure that you're doing well in the courses and you're meeting the program requirements. But beyond that, it's always good to just casually, so to say, try to absorb some extra information there is. But in terms of just going back to the question, to make your summer term, if you feel overwhelmed, then just take one course for the first term, and perhaps one course in the second term. Or even I now see a lot of students here. We are in the second term of the summer, and a lot of them have taken 221 in the first term and are just taking the second term to totally not take any classes and work on personal projects and do interview prep and all sorts of things like that. So once you will know the point once you will feel really comfortable in the program. I definitely know that there was that point for me. And at that point, then you can really start ramping things up and loading yourself with more coursework as you feel you're ready for it. So I guess we sort of went on with the how to succeed in the program question.
I just want to add one observation. So I think many people are coming into the BCS with actually two possible options in the future. One is find a job in the companies, and second is going to the graduate schools. So yeah, actually quite a few BCS graduates, they applied for graduate school, master in computer science, or even PhD in computer science later. That's one route. The other route is just go to any IT companies or even banks, so any tech industry department to work as a software engineer. So these are all successful options, and actually it will be a little bit different between these two options. So if you want to apply for graduate school, yes, you have to do really well in the coursework. So you want to aiming 90% in the courses, especially the CS major courses. You want to aim that. You may feel it's too difficult for certain courses, but you want to aim that because you probably feel that computer science right now is the hottest major that all the students want to go in, and the graduate school is even hotter. Like you will see, the competition is really fierce. Many very good students actually cannot get a position in the UBC graduate program in computer science. And but if you are going to the industry route, which you want to get a job as a software engineer, then the grades are actually not that important. It's more important. It's not important what you learn, but what you can do or what you are able to do. And there's a clear difference on that when it comes to the coursework, that you don't need to aim for 90% or even 80%, but yeah, you need to get what you are supposed to you be able to do from the coursework. And we are all from the first degree, so we know like what university study is about. So yeah, that's my observation. And also, like I interned in one company before, then my current one is in Amazon, and they don't care about the grades. They don't see your transcripts, and as long as you are not failing, it's okay. It's more important that you actually can do things, can code, can challenge it, can learn fast, and can demonstrate your abilities and leadership as a potentially successful software engineer in the future. So, yeah.
Yeah, like just to quickly add to that, there are definitely a lot of things, even if not to say most things that are used in the industry right now, they are not necessarily what you're going to learn in class. The classes are going to teach you all the fundamentals of computer science, which is really actually great. It gives you a lot of advantages in the workforce. But the particular tools that are used in there, most of them are not really covered in most of the courses per se. So, for example, like the whole most popular full stack development framework, MERN, which stands for MongoDB, Express, React, and Node.js, one of the more popular ones. You will only learn a little bit of that when you take 310, or if you take the new course that's being put on in the summers now, 436. But that's what's being used in industry a lot. But then even courses like 313, which is, it seems it's all about computer hardware. I was actually surprised after taking that course how much that course enabled me to understand some of the deeper aspects of Node.js. And how, or taking 317, which is the computer networking course, which also seems to be just teaching you sort of low-level things, but then you really understand much better how things like, once again, Node and Express work. So that's sort of kind of the distinction between what happens in classes and what happens in the industry. There are, of course, some classes that are much more applicable, like the algorithms courses and like the software engineering courses that I was saying, 310. But there's definitely a lot more to learn beyond the program. And as I was suggesting, just look at some of the resources I posted and try to absorb as much as you can from there. And it becomes much easier as you progress in the program. I'll just quickly comment on the next one in terms of assignments. Are they typically done as individuals, or are there a lot of group work partnerships? Well, the big project courses are done as in terms of big groups usually. Most of the courses, though, that you can work with a partner, but it's optional. Although it's highly recommended that you do work with a partner, because it's nice to bounce off ideas from each other, and it's also sometimes you split up the work, so there's less work to be done for each of you, and sometimes it also could be quite fun, and you could make lasting friendships or even partnerships through that. There are just really a few courses out there in computer science that do not allow you to work in partners, and I would say that, well, as far as courses that are outside of the program, it sort of depends. Yeah, sorry, I missed actually. I wanted to comment on this one as well. How to deal with imposter syndrome. There was actually one of the girls that I'm good friends with in my cohort. She wrote a great article about that on her blog, and I was just gonna share the article with you guys after the stream. So I'll be sure to post a link to that. But in terms of partners, most work is done in partners. Pick your partners wisely, and make great friendships through that. And especially the one course that deserves a special comment is 310, where you have to work in groups of 2, and it's a big project, and it's 50% of your grade. So make sure that by the time you're taking 310, you have sort of found someone who you can get really along with quite well, and you can get the work done with well. And as of now, you have to be in the same lab section. So when you're registering for 310, try to register into the same lab section as the person who you would like to work with. And I mean, there are some flexibility to switching lab sections, but of course it's best that you register into the same lab section ahead of time. Anything to add in terms of that?
Probably all you and us came from the first degree university study. We know how group work and partner work actually are like, right? So that definitely it's possible you'll face some partners or teammates they just don't work. And I would say it's a very good opportunity to demonstrate your leadership and your own ability to tackle the challenges, which are actually very practical in the future real world scenario. That in your team, someone may just not work as hard as you. So it will be very fortunate you have very good teammates to work together very hard towards the same goal. But even if it's not, you just deal with it. Yeah, do your best of your part and demonstrate your leadership. If you can get things done, work well, just get it done. Yeah, and it's not that difficult actually. After all, it's just coursework, right? Yeah. So
Do
this
students that pursue math stats based bridging modules typically have better job prospects than those who don't? I'm not sure what to really say. I know that both me and Ling, we have essentially done a math stats bridging module, so perhaps we're not the best ones to comment on this question.
But yeah, I can say is. So the short answer is no. So again, the employers, they don't care about what you learn. They care about what you can do. And yeah, you took math course, you took stat course, but that doesn't mean anything when you're doing job hunting. So I would say the math and stats courses also are less practical than the actual computer science skills you learned through the computer science courses. However, they are very important to understand certain parts of the computer science, especially if you are interested in machine learning, data or computational optimization
Or graphics.
Graphics, which all of them are requiring math or statistics skill sets. So yeah, it's more like it's a required knowledge for you to tackle other problems. But regarding employment, no. Yeah. Actually, So for certain internship, they may see that you have an advantage if you have certain course in your checklist. However, most of the internships and especially bigger companies, they just don't care what you have learned in the classes. Yeah, it's more like what you can demonstrate, what you can do, what projects you are doing that list on your resume. So, yeah.
What are some good practices, tips for new students to work on personal projects? It seems like the BCS coursework requires considerable hours outside of class to complete the assignments. So I'll start off by saying that from personal experience, I do find that certainly to be true, especially if you're taking a fairly full course workload, like 4 or more courses, then a lot of time will be spent on assignments and projects. So some of the tips is that I see a lot of students who are working on personal projects, at least doing the big chunk of them during the breaks, because you do get a break, Christmas break. You do then get a break in May. The first 2 weeks of May, there are no classes, even if you're taking a summer term. You do get a break in August. You do get reading week. So I do see students spending that time working on personal projects. As I was also saying, there are certain students around here right now who have not taken any courses in the second part, July, August of the summer, and are just spending that time working on personal projects. I also see students who do take a more reduced course load to work on personal projects, so taking like 3 courses a term or 1 course in the summer term. I see also students who sacrifice their grades. As Ling was just saying, lots of employees are not too concerned about grades, so I see lots of students who just sacrifice grades to work on personal projects or to attend hackathons, which we'll get to. And I think that when it comes to personal projects, you sort of need to book off some time to get your personal project started, to kind of learn the technology and to get something off the ground. And then after that, it sort of becomes more of an enjoyable thing that you can add to like every half an hour there and then once you have the layout completed. So perhaps you can learn something new and get started on a project in one of those breaks. And then after that, you can just say, well, I'm sort of really tired of my schoolwork. I'll go to my personal projects for 30 minutes to take a break from my schoolwork. I also seen people who have had a very condensed exam schedule where they had all their exams done like in the first couple of days, and they had a big break until their other exam and couldn't study for that one exam for 10 days straight. They worked on personal projects during that time. So those are some of the strategies.
Yeah. So for me, I kind of 2 points. First is one of my own experiences. So in the winter session of 2017, I took 6 courses in one term. In total, that's 19 credits. 3 of them are computer science major required courses, 2 are math courses, and 1 is English. But even with that course load, I still participated in 2 hackathons over 2 weekends and got that nailed in my resume as personal projects, which helped a lot in the later job hunting. So the second point is that let's finish with the first one. So I would say, do the planning in advance, and you can always get something done as a side project. It doesn't need to be very big. Like hackathon, you have only 24 hours, or actually, it's probably just 12 hours to actually get something done, and something you can show off. That's good enough. Yeah. So don't worry about too much. You are not writing a Windows operating system. So.
Yeah, but to also add to what Link had to say, don't always do what Link does in terms of taking 6 courses and then trying to attend things. I think that for most people and for myself, that 4 courses is sort of the ideal point where you're sort of not being crazy. And as Link was saying, like your personal projects don't have to be something really crazy or ingenious to land yourself an internship job. You can definitely, throw something together just to show that you're capable of learning things on your own outside of class, that you were able to learn something and get something down without having a TA holding your hand all the time. I think that's really what you need to get out of a personal project. It doesn't need to be perfect, essentially. Just have something.
Because something to add to that. So the reason you want to do personal projects is to add something on your resume, which will attract the employers to give you an interview, and during the interview you can talk about them. It's more like to differentiate yourself from other students where we all have the same course projects. However, one thing I have been told by many employers, including big and small companies, is that once you start your first internship, and then in the future, the personal project is less important than your internship and your actual work experiences. So just keep that in mind. Personal projects are only important before you get your first internship. And once that is done, the internship and all the following full-time working experiences are much more important than personal projects. There are some exceptions. However, the exceptions are something like that. You had a personal project, which is an open source project on GitHub, for example, and is started by hundreds of people, and you are collaborating with a bunch of high quality developers around the world. Those kind of things can be very shiny on your resume and on your future job hunt. But most of the other personal projects, like website, small app, they will only help you, or the majority of the help come from before you find the first internship. And so don't worry too much about that, but also try to plan beforehand for that.
Yeah. I will be actually later on also posting on Piazza some more resources how to get involved with things like open source projects and whatnot later on. Okay, so what is LeetCode? Is practicing on this enough to get through interviews with competitive companies? Well, LeetCode is this website on which you can practice typical interview questions in language of your choice, essentially, and you see how those solutions compare against other solutions that were submitted. And I mean, like with respect to the second question, there are a lot of questions on LeetCode. There's now more than 1,000 questions, and some of them are really hard. So, without even having too much experience on this, I would personally say that if you can do all those hard questions, I'm pretty sure you would have enough skills, and you actually understand those hard questions. You would have enough skills to nail essentially any interview. I actually checked with someone who was on LeetCode quite a lot and landed a great internship. And she was saying that for internships, essentially, it's the easy to medium questions that will do, and then for full-time jobs, it's mainly the medium difficulty questions. And then if you're applying for big end companies, then you need to look at some of the hard questions. Maybe Lincoln has a lot more to say since he's the one that's at Amazon. But
yes, it's important to practice. That's the short answer. You have to nowadays, especially if you want to land a job in the big companies, you have to do practice on LeetCode. And so LeetCode is free, but if you want to get more information, you have to pay. And one of the good practice many people are taking is that you just pay for 1 month before the interviews or during the interviews, because the paid package includes the ranking of the questions for certain companies. So if, for example, if you are aiming for Google, you can see what's the most high frequent questions they are asking. Then that's a shortcut. So you don't need to practice 1,000 questions. You can just practice 100 questions beforehand, which is very helpful. Many people are saying that's the most worthy investment they made, because you just pay several. I think for 1 month is not that much, but
it's like $30, I think.
Yeah, but then you help you land a job at Google with 6-figure annual salary.
Yeah, but the short answer is that I do think that from my experience and from what I talk to people, that definitely practicing on LeetCode definitely helps. And if you can master all those questions, then you'll definitely get yourself an A+ in all the algorithms courses out here, and land yourself some good jobs. There are some companies that do not, some smaller companies or some of the startups that do not stress those type of questions as much. Like, I know that I was talking to one of the developers, and he said, people that can master those LeetCode questions, they don't really mean anything to me. For when he interviews, he would like people to just bring in their personal project and see what kind of quality code they written and walk him through the code. So there's definitely it's not for all companies, but for the bigger companies, I think it definitely helps a lot.
Yeah.
And cracking the coding interview book.
Yeah, that book is also a good start point.
Okay, I don't know much about hackathons.
Yeah, so
I'll let Link talk about hackathons.
So the question is, hackathons, how important are they to attend? 24-hour non-stop coding sounds intense. So hackathons is just some sort of personal projects you want to present your resume. So it is very intensive and it's very short. And so that's the beauty about hackathons. You only invest like 24 hours into the activity, then you get a personal project, and it pushes you to the limit to do what you can do. And if you are in a good team, you can actually get a very good result from that hackathon, even without winning any title. As long as you can have something to show, you can have something to talk about in the future, then it's actually a very good investment. It just it requires 24 hours, but actually you can choose to go back home to sleep, and then come back in the event next morning. Also, there are some 12-hour hackathons that you don't need to sleep over or stay over. It's 1 day, and you can still get something done. So there are many choices which you can Google, or you can follow the Department of News release. I think if there are some relative hackathons with UBC or in Vancouver, usually they will advise that, and you can check in whether you want to go or not. But it's not, you're not required to go. You can choose not to go. Many people don't go to hackathons even, and they just do a website or some side projects. They still get very good internship and jobs. So it's more like I think hackathon is more like a lifestyle for the software engineers who want to hack things and hang out, and it's special, kind of privilege that you can show off in later. But it's not that it's not required. It's not that important. Yeah.
I know that there are also some hackathons that come with guest lectures. So I know some people that went just to hear from the guest speaker and learn something new that way, just being in a team. They have gone some of the 12-hour ones. So I've seen on the website of BCS saying that 75% of students applied to co-op. How about the rest of the 25%? Did they decide to find internships on their own, or did they decide to go further study, master's or PhD after graduation? Yeah. I would say that the 25%, there are definitely different categories within that. Some people just wanted to finish the program really fast, which I know there was a question that was put down here later on, how many people actually finish the program in the 20 months as advertised, and I would say not very many, but definitely some people do that. Like I know there was just a girl from my cohort that just graduated, and essentially she just did the 5 academic terms, and throughout she did do a bit of like advanced TA positions, and after that she was able to find a job, and she's working now. So there are some people that do that. There are definitely lots of people that do look for internships on their own, especially I would say the students that look for internships in the States and elsewhere. They find that essentially when it comes to co-op, it's most useful when you're just looking for jobs around the Greater Vancouver area and say Toronto. Beyond that, they will definitely be there to help. But then there's I think you have to pay to be in co-op. So for some people, they just find that if they're looking for internships in the States or in some of their home countries or something like that on their own, the money that they're paying for co-op isn't just essentially is not worth it to them. So that's definitely something there. And I also know that there were some people who weren't able to find, oddly enough, jobs in Vancouver, and then as soon as they started looking for internships in the States, they were able to find internships quite quickly. So so I think those are some of the categories. I'm not really sure if doing a master's or a PhD is, so to say, mutually exclusive to being in co-op or not. I would say there are some people that have been in co-op and who continue to take summers off their masters or PhDs to do co-op or internships. I know Ling was saying there were a lot of students that went on to masters and PhD. I personally, in my cohort, I haven't seen that many that were planning to, but I guess Ling knows a lot of people.
So before I jump into the question, so there's a question from the chat channel that are there any email lists for UBC computer science student engagement? I don't think there is any one for the student engagement, but there is a department email that once for a while, once per week. Like to send to all students. Also, we have a Piazza forum that is closely monitored and participated by a tutor and our lovely director Steve Wolfman. So so I think we have a very good platform to interact and to engage students.
So and I mean there are definitely this comes some of the, I think, questions that are coming up in Social Campus Live. Definitely, you guys, if you don't have one already, you can make a Facebook group for your cohort and organize some events. We've certainly had a lot of events, especially in the first couple of terms when all of us were sort of say on the same stream and not away on co-op. Now it sort of becomes more difficult when everyone is sort of on a different schedule. But the first term, definitely set yourselves up some Facebook groups or other groups that you can communicate and organize some events where you get to meet each other. Like my cohort, we all organize ourselves to get together for dinner on just before the first day of class on UBC's Imagine Day. At the end of the day, we got together for dinner and just kind of as an icebreaker to meet each other. So, and there are other mailing lists beyond the UBC department mailing list. Like there is an entrepreneurship oriented mailing list. I'll post some posts on Piazza that are related to that as well. So,
okay. So let's go back to the
Yeah.
co-op questions. So co-op is just a kind of internship platform that provided by UBC or other universities in Canada. So you can choose to go to co-op, and you can choose not to go to there, and you find your own internship. So I think that's why it says 75% and 25%. The advantage of a co-op system is that they gathered all the potential job opportunities for you. So you pay, you pay, but you pay for something, right? And like on co-op platform, I think each week there are like at least 50 new posting that you can apply for internships. Versus that if you find your own internship, then it's much less likely you'll find so many postings in one place. So I would say actually UBC Co-op is a very good system that you can get access to so many potential job opportunities that you don't need to spend so much time just searching the job opportunities. Also, they provide training, resume reviewing, and interview practicing. A lot of stuff that to help you to prepare for job hunting and for your first internship. Because first internship is really difficult to get, right? So, however, there are other students that they just don't want to go through co-op. They are able to find their own internship. Like my second internship right now in Amazon is that I find by myself with a friend's help. With a friend who works in Amazon that can refer me. So if you are able to find internship by yourself, you can choose not to go to co-op. But my first co-op is actually very good. It's from the program, and I feel it's a very good value.
There's a specific question here. Is there opportunity to do placement aboard Japan? So actually, Japan is probably one of the exceptions to what I just said about finding internships aboard on your own. UBC does have a specific program aimed at finding co-op in Japan. So I think you would just have to Google something like UBC Co-op Japan, but they have a very specific one, and I think they would actually even require you to take some Japanese courses if you want to engage in that. So that's probably one of the only countries in which UBC does have that for. How many students actually complete the degree within the 2 years? We sort of already talked about that. The answer is not many. It's definitely possible. I definitely seen a few people from my cohort do it. But usually it's 3 years, and there are even some people that take longer than 3 years if they're part-time, or if they just want to be in internships for much longer than just 2 co-op terms, then they take like 3.5 years.
Yeah. So yes, if you like within 2 years, that's if you include the internship or co-ops, then it will be extremely rare because the course will take 5 terms, right?
The coursework, unless you have lots of exemptions or you done unclassified terms like Ling has, it will most definitely take you 5 terms.
So
I don't think
it's at least.
Yeah.
I think it's at least. In the end, you have to be like about 70 credits.
Well, you have to take 21 courses to complete the program. So
So in the end, it's about 70 credits, and if you are really crazy and capable, you may squeeze that in 4 terms. But
it also depends on the chain of prerequisites. Like if you're starting from 110, for you to or even 210, for you to get up to the senior course is going to take you a few terms, and then based on the summer offerings. So it will definitely be essentially at least 5 academic terms, even if not for people that want to take a bit of a slower pace, if not 6 or 7 academic terms, and add on the co-op terms on top of that.
So I know there are people actually doing 4, even 5 years for the project, for the program. But yeah, if you want to expedite, usually at least the academic terms is 5 terms that you need to finish coursework. Then you can choose just to do 1 4-month internship or co-op, and that's it. So that's 2 years. But yeah. For people without a lot of experiences and very strong skills, it's really difficult just to get one 4 months internship, then get yeah.
But I think that really it's 3 years. It's usually 6 academic terms and 2 co-op terms or something along those lines.
So I consider myself to be really quick. I only do 5 academic terms, but I did 1 8 months internship, and now is a 3 months internship. So yeah, you add them, then it's about 3 years. Yeah.
So how is diversity in the BCS ComSci UBC? After reaching out to current and former women in computer science, I'm concerned about a passive-aggressive work environment, especially in the need to prove myself. Well, no, that's not a laughing matter. I would say that it's sad that we still have this. I would say that as far as BCS and UBC is concerned, it's quite great out here. I would say that just looking at my cohort, looking around in the class, I almost feel like we were almost even split between the men and the women in the program.
Yeah.
At least out of the ones that you would see in class. I would also say that in terms of if you looking at the history of the people who had this job, the BCS tutor job, I would say that we probably had more women do this job than we had men. And then I would also say that some of the best TAs that I had around here at UBC were actually women. There are a lot of great women to do TAing. I mean, as I'm sure there's everywhere, there probably have been some minor incidents related to as this person is describing here. But from what I heard, I actually reached out to one of my best friends who and she was saying that essentially if something like that comes up, just prove yourself. Don't worry about those things. Just do the best, and people will shortly recognize that if they were in any way passively aggressive to you, that they were wrong. But overall, I think it's quite great here in BCS, as I was saying. So
yeah, like I feel actually is yeah. So there's no problem here. Like there's half. Many women students in the program.
I mean that's not what
probably half, but there's a lot.
That's not what they say on admissions, but just looking around in class, honestly, that I felt that there were just as many women as there were men in our program.
And they are doing really well actually. So I remember one of the best TA, also one of the best software engineers I know personally. Actually, is a woman. And she finally went to Google in the pool of like Google, Facebook, Microsoft. She got all the offers, and she is really good at either teaching, studying, and doing projects. So also here, I don't so probably the concern may exist some else, but in UBC and in Vancouver. Is a really diverse place, and people here really value the diversity and value the respect a lot. So, yeah, How
to make friends and find good project partners. Well, I'm not sure if there is any specific advice that I would have to say to that. I just found the way I found my friends is just from talking to the BCS students in class, going to the BCS events that were organized by my cohort, and like even a lot of the labs that you attend, you will find that there's a lot of talking that's going on in there, and you do have to. Whichever labs you register in, you have to find yourself a partner. That's how I found one of my first friends, and then I also found some of my other friends from the labs. You just kind of find the people that you sort of click to work with. So
Yeah, it's just that like you just go out. If you stay at home, then yeah, there's no way to find. But if you go out, participate all the event, like, go to the events, be active in the class and in the events, and yeah, just you feel someone is good, legitimate, hardworking, yeah, you can just approach that. Can we be partners for the projects?
Yeah. I think we sort of already covered the next question.
The community.
What is the UBC BCS community like? How can I get involved? So I did discuss how, like my cohort, we had, we have had our Facebook group. We had like I know there were some people from my class that took the leadership to organize that big beginning dinner, and then organize some of the first events that we had. We actually have also a Facebook chat that just called our BCS 2017 party chat. So you don't get too much time to engage with that, of course, because of the program being very demanding. But I found that we clicked quite well through all of that. So the other question here is in terms of picking out your laptop. Found working on Dr. Racket, realized my laptop is inadequate. Any suggestions for new laptops? What should I be prioritizing in terms of specs? I would say that from personal experience, in terms of specs, you should be prioritizing RAM for quite a bit of it. Lots of development environments that you use, IDEs, they're quite a big RAM hogs, I find. That when I had a computer that only had 4 gigabytes of RAM, I couldn't really run them that well. So I ended up definitely getting myself something that I had at least 8 gigabytes and being expandable to 16 easily once I get there.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to add?
Yeah,
in terms
of definitely RAM is a big bottleneck you are going to get if you, especially in the future, that you are opening like 50 Chrome tabs. And doing research at the same time, doing front end, back end all together in one machine. The RAM will eat really fast, and Chrome, right? Yeah. So, yeah, if you have the budget, I definitely recommend a 16 gigabyte of RAM. Definitely.
Or get something that starts at 8 and is easily expandable to 16, so that you can put an extra chip in down the road. Like a lot of courses, you will only be using a fairly simple code editor, but for some of them, you will definitely be using quite substantial integrated development environment IDEs, and those take quite a bit of a toll on RAM.
Yeah.
Other options for studying aboard exchange semesters for BCS students. I definitely seen some BCS students who have gone on exchange. There is actually a student that just came from an exchange in Australia. So I definitely heard there are opportunities to do that, but I don't really know too much about the specifics of how that's done. But perhaps you can find some information once you get here.
That's something you probably need to come here and figure out with university.
But I definitely know students who have done great exchanges. English challenge exam consists of 2 essays, which each granting 3 credits. BCS students need only 3 first-year English credits. Is that enough to pass just one of the essays? The answer is yes. If you're going to do the first-year English challenge exam, you only need to do the essay for the component that you're missing. So if you don't have the 3 credits for the first-year English literature course, then you will need to take the literature essay exam, which involves analyzing a poem. But if you have those credits, then you will need to just do the other exam that I think is for creative writing. So yeah, you only need to do 1.
I have no info on that.
No, So you just need to do whichever one you're missing. Just double check which one you need to do, because I have seen students, unfortunately, that did the incorrect one, and then they had so just email whoever in the English department is managing that exam, and they will schedule. Also, with respect to that, it's something that you might not necessarily need to rush into. Like you have until December or late November to get that done, because if you don't pass, then you will have to take an English course in the second semester in order to meet the promotion to fourth year requirements, if you're aiming to do that. But I know students who have taken the challenge exam in October or early November, passed, and then they dropped their English course they were enrolled in for the second semester. So that's something to consider. I'm on a wait list for a 300 elective course that's from non-computer science for term 2. What is the best option for me to make sure that I get my 300 elective course to be able to promote into year 4 by the end of April? And here we probably won't have much information, much definite information. And I would say even our director, Steve, it might be best to talk to him or email him or talk to him once you're on campus. But even he probably wouldn't have specific information of what's happening in other departments. I know that when it comes to computer science courses, the wait lists do move quite quickly. And I would say that in computer science, it's been quite good that if you're on a wait list, you're almost definitely, it seems like you're getting in the course. Like I've seen courses where the wait lists were quite long and people still got an in. Of course, there are no guarantees, but it's usually quite good. What happens in other departments, I don't think any one of us could be too sure. My suggestion would be is that if you do have any other alternate 300 courses that you can register into, register into a course like that, because you can always drop it, and then hope for the best. Which I think that it's probably, there's still quite a good chance that you're going to get into the course that you would like, because once the term starts, lots of people figure out they didn't really like some course they signed up for, so they drop it and the wait list do move. But just as a precaution, perhaps look for another course as well to enroll yourself into, and discuss this with Steve in more detail. Have any BCS students participate in Go Global?
No idea. No idea, yeah.
To be honest, not really sure what to say to that.
Okay.
I just want to check in terms of if we had any more questions on here.
Okay, there's one more question.
There's a few more, but the department suggests that BCS students enroll in a specific lab sessions. However, due to space limit, one might not be able to enroll in those sessions. Doesn't have any impact for not being able to enroll into the specific lab sessions. I would say that there isn't really. I mean, the main reason is there for you to be with like-minded people and to meet friends. But every lab session is going to be the same in terms of getting the work done, in terms of getting graded. So you might unfortunately miss out on a little bit of meeting people from BCS. But beyond that, I don't think there's really any concern of what lab session you're in. I know there's certain people who were trying to do some bit of part-time work, or were getting off a job and taking courses part-time, and they only had crazy schedules they could fit into. And it was fine. So I'm just gonna check if there's something else in here. So how difficult is Cox 200? I hear horror stories from those who took it. I'm concerned about, since it's in my bridging module. Well, neither of us have taken Cox 200.
But I heard it's not difficult.
So I unfortunately I don't have really too many comments on that.
The horror stories. So this is what I heard. That course 200 edges is not helpful. It's more like it's very old style, not helpful. But if you are taking it, at least it's not as difficult as other major computer science courses. So I believe you should be okay. Yeah.
So there was okay. So I'll just hit off on some of the. Is personal project really necessary to be more competitive?
what do you mean by competitive?
Well, I guess for finding a first internship.
That's yes, definitely yes, because on your resume to find an internship or a job, you list your education background, right? Your skills and your work experiences, which are computer science related, hopefully. And the most important, other than that, is projects you have done. And if you have no personal projects, then you are same with many other students. Like we all did 210 like a small project. Then 310 is a little bit more complicated project, but still a small project. Then maybe 304 is a small project, but the employers will see from the first glance that these are class projects, and it really doesn't demonstrate your own ability. So you want to show them you are really good developer by showing your personal projects. So yeah, definitely you have to have personal projects.
I know that some people who didn't have personal projects and who found still decent co-op jobs, the way they compensated for that is they were in the newly offered summer course for Series 6, in which you develop a big modern app.
Okay.
So I know that students have succeeded that way.
But that's still a personal project.
Well, it is just a big project course that's different from other ones.
Yeah.
Good news now is that in 210, they no longer actually now do the exact same project.
Okay.
So now there's actually a bit of a more personal project component in 210, which makes 210, in my opinion, a bit more overwhelming.
Okay, that's good news.
But they don't all do the same project, which is good because employees are, I heard, sort of getting really sick of seeing the exact same 210 project on every resume that they get, which is, I think, why they changed 210.
Okay.
This looks like you have 2 terms with 5 upper level CPS courses. Is that ridiculously difficult? The answer is yes. In my opinion, well, I guess the schedule, yeah. If you have
2 terms with 5, actually that's quite handleable.
I personally would not do 5 upper level CS courses in a single term.
No, that's 2 terms. That's 2 terms.
No, I think with
2 terms with 5.
5 courses each. That's what. Because if you look, if you look on the BCS schedule for the 5-term program, that's what that's from the website. That's what they say. Yeah, if you were trying to finish quickly.
No, I don't think it's 2 terms with 5. You maybe want because.
No, that's what they say on the FAQ. But I mean, I can look up it might take me a bit of time to find the page, but. Anyway,
there's a sample schedule, right?
Yeah. Here we go. Yeah. So this is what I think the student is coming from. That there is this academic term 4, which has those courses and then 6 credits from bridging module, and bridging module could be potentially like stats or math, and then same for academic term 5. But I personally would not recommend doing 5 CS or math or stats courses in one term. It does sound quite difficult, especially if there are some 400 level courses that are with the big projects.
So actually, this comes down to exactly what courses are you taking. So there are several courses that are really difficult comparing to other courses like 313, 320, 310 also took a lot of time, and then 340, the machine learning. It's not that difficult, but the cost load is a lot.
Some people find it quite difficult.
Depending on your math background. And then there are like 317, which is about networking. It's very interesting, very valuable, but also a little bit challenging. Yeah, but actually in 4-level course, because for BCS student we only require 6 credits for the 4-level.
Yeah, 2 courses.
So it's only 2 courses.
Yeah.
Which is actually pretty easy to handle if you are not obsessed with super difficult courses. So 5 courses per term. Usually you don't do 5 computer science courses per term, but definitely it's possible with 3 computer science courses or 4 computer science courses plus 1 other course.
Yeah, and I think that the people that have finished the program in 5 academic terms straight out, they have had bridging modules that were not from math or stats or something like that, and they were able to. Or what they did is they also had a lot of exemptions for low-level courses. So like if you don't have to take like math 100 or something, or you don't have to take stat 200, or you don't have to take English 301, then or those kind of courses, then you can delay replacing exemptions for some of those to the last terms, and then you can take 4 comp sci courses and 1 course in something totally unrelated to your degree, but just something to get your exemption credits. That's what I think people have done to get around that problem. But I personally, I would not recommend taking 5 300 or 400 level CS courses, even if there are some course that's on the easier side in 1 term, unless you're totally sure what you're doing. Like there are people who have done it, but yeah.
So like I took 6 courses 1 term,
but 3 of those were not from CS.
Yeah, 3, but it's two maths and 1 English, and that's 3. So that term. For the computer science, 1 is so at 3. So the 3 computer science is 310, 320, and 313, which are the most stressful 3-level courses. But it's not recommended. It will eat you up. Exhausted.
Is it possible to get a summer co-op in the first term? I plan to do at least 1 co-op internship in the big company in Vancouver in the States. Yeah. I see 2010 summer internship postings recently for big companies. I wonder if I should apply now. Well, it depends on what kind of experience you have. Like if you feel like you're ready to apply for those companies, if you already have some personal projects, and if you feel like you have some experience that will get you to the interview, like no one is gonna really prevent you from applying. I know students from my cohort who actually did summer internships in the first summer, and who had who actually did only 210, and they interviewed while doing 210, and it was quite stressful, but they were able to get a summer co-op. I would say though that that's something that you would be on your own, because the co-op department really discourages, from what I can see, people looking for a job in the first summer term. The earliest that you would probably get something is in September if you're going through the co-op program. But if you can find something on your own and you feel like you're ready for it and you can apply, then by all means apply right now. Like no one is going to hold you to taking classes in the summer or anything like that if you can get a job.
Yeah, and just one more addition for that.
Yeah.
So big companies, obviously, probably all the companies, if you have the chance, you have to do internal referrals first. You have to find someone who works there and can refer you to the hiring team, especially the big company like you mentioned here, Amazon and Microsoft. So I know Microsoft they are hiring, but they're hiring not that many. So that's why they post now. And so Microsoft usually like hire 1 year in advance. So it's very competitive and the slots are really limited. But for Amazon, the good news is that we are hiring a lot right now. And the Vancouver offices are expanding, very quick. So if you feel you're ready, you are very welcome to submit your application. And if you want to referral, you can contact me later. That may help. But yeah, it's all that's as Sasha says. It all comes out how ready you are, and if you're ready, just. Please, all the companies, the whole Vancouver industry are looking for talent.
There's found a couple more questions.
Yeah.
Yeah. So can you take a course online during the summer?
Yes.
Online bridging? Yeah. I think that for the first co-op, it's not super recommended because you're going to be doing your first co-op job, getting used to the industry. If you haven't been in the industry before, it might be a bit overwhelming and stressful. But I definitely have seen people who have done a course, and you just, I'm not sure what's the exact procedure. I think you just sign up as you usually would. So that's definitely possible. Seeing the question on here, people are just looking for course suggestions. Computer science you recommend taking that are useful. Well, it sort of depends on where you would like to go. I'll just start off that I personally found Computer Science 317 a really great course. It's on internet computing. It's on networking. It sort of shows you the low-level side of networking. And chances are, with the internet nowadays, something you're going to do in computer science is going to come down to using the internet. And it's really nice just to see how internet and everything like that works from the bottom. So I'm almost, and the professors that teach that course are almost shocked that it's not a required course.
Yeah, that's what I felt too. It's not required. It's crazy.
Yeah, and that course actually, it also leads into a course 416, which is distributed systems, which I'll be actually just taking in my final year of the program. But I heard it's a really challenging course, so you might, if you're just looking for a lighter schedule, it might not be something for you, but I also heard it's really rewarding because most of the systems nowadays are in cloud computing and distributed and everything like that. So that's a follow-up course on 317, 416. So that's a good sequence of courses that I personally would recommend.
Yeah. Actually, I may prefer not to answer that question now because it is for incoming students. You are going to start your term in September, and there's a lot of time for you to explore the possibilities and your own interests into the computer science world, because basically you have so many choices right now. You have so many routes you can choose to go to. So yeah, once you are here, it's just feel free to explore around, and definitely you will find more resources and for your choices in the future.
One just quick thing to add to that is that I personally, my opinion, found a road just taking some of the bigger project courses, because just to really feel like what is like being part of the team, where you actually get to build something. So I took compiler construction, where you build a compiler. Not that you are gonna work in the compiler industry, but it's just nice, like you're gonna learn that kind of stuff by being in a team rather than reading a book. Like a lot of certain things in computer science, you can sort of read a book and pick it up that way. But I find for certain things like 411 compiler construction or 415 advanced operating systems, where you actually get to build a kernel of an operating system, I find those kind of things it's useful to be in a team that does that, rather than by just trying to read a book and trying to figure that stuff on your own. But that's just my personal advice. So I haven't seen any other questions on here that we haven't touched upon. But at this point, I invite, if there is anything else that we can quickly answer, for anyone to type in the chat, or anything that we have missed or haven't properly addressed. So I guess you have to go soon, Ling.
Yeah.
But just
seems that nobody's.
There's a bit of a delay, so I'll give them a few.
Okay.
So anyway, so if there's a
can we go through the question, like the Google Doc?
Yeah, no, we have gone through those courses, through those questions.
What about in the talk?
You have. Those are all. We touched on those ones. Let's see.
Okay.
Well, it doesn't seem like anyone is typing anything to us. So, with respect to that, I thank all of you for participating. and hopefully we were able to give you guys some insight and provide some useful information. Other than that, I invite you. Okay, I'll get to that question in a second. I invite you guys to sign up for our Piazza page because we'll be putting a lot of useful information on there. So please do that. And also, this video will be should be uploaded to YouTube after this, so you guys can rewatch it if need be. Okay, so the question we had coming here was: would you recommend taking 110 and 121 together, or 210 and 121 together? To be honest, I don't think it really matters that much. It sort of really depends on whatever fits your schedule. I would say that most people, about 70% or so, or 75%, take 110 and 121 in the first term. But there's definitely a lot of people that also do 210 and 121. I don't really have any personal preference on that. So,
if you can, just take more courses,
Well,
so you can finish earlier.
yeah.
And also jump into the course you really want to take as soon as in the earliest phase, right? Because you have so many prerequisites you have to fill in.
Yeah, so it's the same thing. Like, I mean, taking the algorithms courses early is good because that will give you your interview prep. But then if you would like, for example, to work your way up to that 416 course that I was talking about, if that's something you're interested in, well, then you have to really get your 213, 313, and 317 out of the way, because 213 leads into 317 and 313, and then both of those lead into 416. So that's something that you do have to plan a little bit for.
Yeah.
But anyway, I will also actually I'll have this job as the BCS tutor in the fall term. So I'll see you guys. We'll probably have some review session for some courses. So yeah, sign up for Piazza and watch for announcements on there. And I really thank Link for taking some time out of his Sunday to come here.
Yeah.
And
Nice
stay late and share some of his insight.
Yeah. And so congratulations to you all that you can come in this wonderful program, and enjoy your rest summer, or get something done so you can take the Chinese exam you want.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that,
Okay.
I think
Thank you, guys.
Bye bye.
Bye.